Hello everyone, my name is Vincent and this is the second part of my vlog about the white Trinity Philodendron. So in this vlog, I'm going to talk about the care tips of my white Trinity Philodendron. They are the white wizard, the white knight, and the white princess. So first of all, I want to talk about the watering of this plant. This is basically the most crucial part of taking care of your white wizard, knight, and princess, since root rot is the number one killer of this plant. So for me, the rule of thumb of taking care of your plant when it comes to watering is that it's better to underwater them than to overwater them. If the plant is a little bit underwatered, it can just actually bounce back immediately once you replenish it with water again. But it's going to be really difficult if the plant is overwatered and then it starts to root rot, because root rot is progressive and eventually your plants will die because of it. So guys, for my white Trinity philodendron, I water them once every week or once every 2 weeks. So I always make sure that I assess the medium of my plants before watering them. I always assess the moisture of their medium before I water them. So here is the video how I water my plants. So here we have our white wizard. So as you may have noticed, dito yung white part kasi there's a lack of chlorophyll. So as you can see, sunog, di ba? That is because there's no chlorophyll on that side. So anyway, so here I just want to show you guys how do I assess this plant if it needs to be watered. So here, this is what I use. So this is the device that I use. This is what you call a moisture meter. So all I have to do is to poke this here. So as you can see, it's still around, the hand is around 5 to 6, right? And this is just one side. So you also have to check on the other side. So on the other side, it's about 5, around 5. But it's actually quite dry already. But this is what the reading tells you. I don't usually give this plant some water. I wait for it for the hand to go on the red zone. So here, as you can see, the medium is now quite dry, the way I see it. And usually, if you don't have moisture meter, all you have to do is to poke this about 2 inches, and this is the result. I'll use this to check if this pot or this plant needs to be watered or not. So all you got to do is to poke this medium using this device. So there you go. Right. So there, as you can see, it's quite dry. It's on the number 1 already. Now, this is on the other side. I want to check the other side as well. There, still the same. And I'm going to check the third side. And it's still the same. So now, it definitely needs some water. So there you go. I'm going to give some water on this plant. Alright, so since we were able to assess this plant really needs to be watered, so the way I water this, I thought I water this plant thoroughly. There you go. And that's it. And I wait for it to be drained over here. Alright? So guys, that's how I water all my white Trinity Philodendron. So, what I have noticed when you underwater your plant sometimes is that underwatering your plant can actually triggers them to branch out its roots and to spread them all over the pot. So there, your plants actually have the initiative to look for water. So if the root feels that there's a lack of water on that area, it's actually going to branch out and spread out and look for water. So basically, that's the effect of underwatering your plant. It actually causes your plant to have a better root system. Alright, guys, for the light requirements of your plant, since they are variegated, it's got to be placed in an area where it can get indirect bright light. I cannot stress that enough, but it happened that one or two of your White Trinity Philodendron reverted, you can actually place them where it can get direct sunlight. Like this one. This one is being placed on the direct sun and it has already been acclimated. So as you can see, it doesn't have any variegation because it's, as I said, it is reverted. This is a white knight philodendron. So it has reverted basically. It doesn't have any variegation on it. So there is no risk for it to be burned since it has a lot of chlorophyll on it. So there, we are done with watering. We're done with light requirements. Now let's go to the fertilizer. For the fertilizer, I gave them this. This is a Osmocote. I give my plants every 4 months. And then once I sprinkle the granules on top of the pot, I sprinkle it with water right away because actually the Osmocote starts giving off its nutrients once it gets wet. Or you can also give some liquid fertilizer like this one. But for my White Trinity Philodendron, I gave them the Osmocote. But if you don't have Osmocote, you can also use this one. I really, really recommend this. Miracle Grow, this is also the same company that produced Osmocote. For my medium composed of mostly pumice. So 60% pumice, and the other composition is just composed of the rice hull, cocoa pit, and cocoa cubes. That's it. I cannot stress enough how important it is to give your plant a medium that is well aerated, a well draining soil, and it doesn't hold much water for a long period of time. Because, well, basically, I have fair share of experience when it comes to root rot because of my wrong composition of my medium, especially for my White Wizard. So, on the end of this video, I'm going to tell you guys how I salvage my White Wizard that has been root rot. So stay tuned for that. Well, we don't have any problems when it comes to temperature, especially if you are living here in the Philippines, especially if you live in any country that is tropical. We don't have any season problems, especially when it comes to winter. Our plant don't have dormancy period because all throughout the year, our weather here is very hot except of course when there is typhoon. If you are living in an area on a northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere that there is winter season, well, that is a totally different story. But basically, I can only talk about tropical countries because I live in a tropical country. For the humidity, my humidifier is broken, so my alternative is like it's like a dish, and then I put stones or pebbles in it, and then some water. That's how I increase the humidity of my plants. So guys, here are my propagations. So I want to show you this one first. So as you can see on this, these are just a stem cutting. It doesn't have any leaves on it, just basically stem. So as you can see, there are some signs of life already. It's already sprouting out. It's already branching out. It's new branch. And I cut these cuttings for about 3 weeks already. And there are the signs of life. And I also have this one. This one has one leaf and it has one branch that's already sprouting out. So as you can see, this is the original leaf. It's actually now turning like yellow or something. And this one is the branch. This one is the new branch. To increase your chance to have a successful propagation, your cutting must have one node on it, or at least one node on it, one leaf with some aerial roots. And then you are going to put it in a well-draining soil. It doesn't have to be sphagnum moss, as well as it is well aerated or well-draining soil, or sphagnum moss is actually the best medium for it. But if happen that you don't have sphagnum moss, any well-draining soil is good enough, like mine. And then wait for it for about 3 to 4 weeks to show a signs of life. It's basically just a waiting game. And then you can spray water in them for every, let's say, 3 days or 4 days, depending on how dry their medium is. That's how I propagate my white Trinity philodendrons. This one is the White Knight, the rest is the White Wizard, and this one is a White Princess. There is actually one branch that is also coming out from this one. So basically, I'm so excited for this White Princess, most especially because, as I said in my first video, White Princess is my favorite among all White Trinity philodendron. Okay, so to troubleshoot. So I said earlier that root rot is the #1 enemy of your White Trinity philodendrons. Either it is a White Wizard, a White Knight, or a White Princess. Now, as I have experienced before, always check for the roots, especially if you notice that the plant takes a very long while for it to have a new leaves, or there is no growth or development for a very long time, or let's say about a month. Usually, this plant develops its new leaf monthly. So you better check the roots of the plant. Once there is root rot, that is a death sentence for your plant. Now what you can do is to clean all the affected parts, especially all the affected roots. Sometimes the bottom stem is already affected, so you have to cut it off. And then what I do is that the whole plant has to be propagated. So I cut all of them. I cut every nodes, and then that's it. I do a normal propagation for my plant that has been a victim of a root rot. So that's what I do. So guys, that's all for now. And if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions or any additional tips on how you take care of your own White Trinity philodendron, please comment down below. That's it for now, and see you again on the next one. Bye-bye.